Next stop, Chicago Junction.
I don't hear it. Chuck.
Yes, it is time for this month's broadcast of Chicago Junction, the program that will take you through the wonderful world of trains. With help from our panel of experts, and sometimes we might have a call-in guest or visitor. I'm your announcer, Brian Blue, and here is our boss, the head of the Windy City Hometown Entertainment Network, and Chief Electrical Engineer, Mr. John DeVito.
Well, thank you very much, Bry. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another broadcast of Chicago Junction from the John DeVito Broadcast Center on the Windy City Hometown Entertainment Network on Monday, December the 14th, the year 2022. Today, the panel will be talking about railroads and model railroads. And now to start today's broadcast, here is our announcer, Mr. Brian.
Thank you, John. Now let us meet the panel. As I said, my name is Brian DeLue, and I am a rail fan. I belong to several museums and other organizations. I play with mostly Yo-Gauge. And I do Operation Lifesaver, working with the Scouts and anybody else that'll
Listen to you
That is true.
on the peanut gallery.
And to my right, we have the Peanut Gallery.
Hi, everybody. My name is Ron Messner, and I'm a garden railroader. And right now, my garden is underwater, like everybody else. And I enjoy talking with these guys. And to my right?
To my right, Dave DeRuska, retired locomotive engineer from a number of different railroads. Last one being Metra, former vice president of the Black Hawk chapter. I just stopped doing that. But I am still the guy in charge of Chicago Railroad History Month.
All right. My name is Tim Fraun. I'm one of the newer members to this panel. I'm a big model railroad guy. My interests are in Lino gauge trains. I do some volunteer work out at the Illinois Railway Museum. Also a member of a couple of different train clubs and stuff in the area. To my right is...
This is Doug Kenyuk. I'm an officer in the Railroad Short Lines Club of Chicago, N-scaler, rail fan, historian, and professor, adjunct professor at Wright College.
I got a question for you, Doug.
Yes.
What is a hand sign school of the...
Ron and I were talking about that on the way. I guess the guy is going to tell us how they used to communicate between the brakeman and the conductor and engineer before you had radios. Methinks.
You think?
Yeah. I mean, that's the one hand signal I was thinking about. So yeah,
that's a
right.
universal hand sign between the engine crew and the train crew.
Almost sending up
Track
smoke signals.
number one. All
right. Kick them.
You want me to go or you want somebody else?
No, we'll let
Oh, yeah, I'm the guy at the head of the table.
He's sitting in the seat.
Yeah, hopefully not that seat.
He's not going to strike you.
Oh, we should take a moment to say our fond farewells to some of our members who are no longer with us. We skipped last month because of the passing of our friend Kevin. Quite sudden passing, and he will be dearly missed by this group. And by me because he used to drive me here from the south side. Long haul. Okay, things going on in the world of railroads. Union Pacific details plans to test feasibility of ground-based conductors. But they won't be called conductors anymore. They'll be called expediters. The Union Pacific is ready to launch a pilot program that will test the feasibility of redeploying conductors from locomotive cabs to ground-based positions, the railroad told the Federal Railroad Administration today during a hearing on the agency's proposed two-person crew rule. This is the Union Pacific attempting to get rid of the second crewman by putting him on the ground. UP believes that ground-based conductors, which the railroad dubs expediters, would be able to more safely and more effectively play the role of conductors due today from the locomotive cab. Some guy, vice president, said this. I'm not even going to attempt to say his name. Positive train control has significantly reduced the conductor's tasks out on the main line, and an expediter would be better able to handle troubleshooting and fixing mechanical problems en route. Now, I'm not sure if they're going to give these guys rocket belts or what. I guess they're going to put them in a truck, and they're going to station these people at points wherever.
They'll give them Teslas.
Well, they're going to have to in California.
Yeah, right.
And they'll say, take me to the next accident, and the car drives them over there.
Here it explains. The job will be much better served by a truck-based approach responding to planned or unplanned events dispatched from a central location around the railroad network. So if the problem happens 200 miles from the central base location, how are they going to expedite that?
Do you have a helicopter?
Yeah, right. They do. Union Pacific envisions a role where the expediter receives a call for service from an en route train, drives to that train in a truck, performs the requested service, and drives back to the base of operations. Our data suggests that in most cases, this will take less time than having an onboard conductor attempt the same tasks. Well, yeah, if you got a 500-car train and he's got to walk to the rear end of the train, I suppose it is faster. I don't get it. Anyways.
Well, they could get them mopeds and have them attached to the locomotive. They could drive to the end of the train and come back.
Now, let's get a drone.
No, what the
get a drone.
Segway.
Yeah, drone.
Put them on a Segway. The tests, all in territory protected by positive train control, will compare the response times of conductors and expediters. Each phase of the pilot program will increase operational complexity. The first phase will begin in the South Morrill subdivision, UP's coal hauling route across western Nebraska that is paralleled by a state highway. Well, how fortunate. The double-track line carries an average of 26 trains per day, according to a recent regulatory filing regarding the railroad's Powder River Basin coal volume. The second phase would run on UP's single-track Greeley subdivision, which links Denver and Spencer, Wyoming. This train handles locals, unit trains, and intermodal trains, some of which have work en route. The third phase will involve Portland, LeGrand, Huntington, Nampa subdivisions between Portland, Oregon, and Pocatello, Idaho. Say that fast. The main line features heavy grades, limited road access, and challenging weather. The expediters may use different equipment to access hard-to-reach locations, he says.
Do we say tractor?
They're not saying what. They're not saying what equipment, but
has this person ever worked on the railroad?
No, they don't. They sit in an office. The final phase will cover the Harrington and Topeka subdivisions in Kansas, a route that includes the refueling of intermodal and manifest trains. Well, they're going to have to refuel the trains now too. Get rid of the mechanical department. Why not? The goal of all four phases will be to determine the efficiency, safety, and worker quality of life for conductors and expediters. The UP believes expediters can respond more quickly and more safely to en route mechanical problems such as a broken knuckle, because conductors won't have to walk long distances over uneven ground from the cab to the problem freight car.
Dave, they would have to carry all that equipment with them.
Let me ask you a question. You got the right-of-way. It's next to the highway. Let's take that first one, next to the highway. So you have the track. You have a nice ditch that's probably filled with water and critters. And then you got a mound. And then you got another ditch because you got the shoulder of the road and the road. And this is going to save him from walking along the train. Okay, got it.
They're gonna equip the trucks with collapsible bridges. Just like in the Army.
Yeah,
they'll have a special truck that follows the expediter to put out the bridge.
That tank that carried the folding bridge.
Yeah, right.
Let's see. Expediters will have better tools and equipment in their trucks, which is true, which the railroad says is safer than having a conductor climb down from the locomotive while carrying gear and parts. I don't think they mean gears. I think they mean equipment. Parts. I mean, what parts are they going to carry?
When you were an engineer, how many times did you climb down and went to the back of the train?
Oh, none.
When I worked for the Wisconsin Central, a lot. I worked with idiot conductors.
Okay.
I had one guy who couldn't move a drawbar over. I had to go back and help him. I had to walk back 50 cars and move the drawbar for him.
But in generally, I mean, with Metra, did you ever have to go change a coupler?
No. Well, there's only one instance I know of ever having a knuckle broken on Metra. Only once that I heard of. Okay, the expediters working from set locations or scheduled shifts, they may be able to sleep at home and know what their days off will be, which Doer says will improve their quality of life while enabling the UP to more easily recruit and retrain workers.
So UP is buying them a bunch of mobile homes, huh?
Yeah. Haul it around with the truck. The unpredictable and unscheduled nature of conductor positions, forget the engineers, has made it challenging for the railroads to hire new conductors. Yeah, no kidding. Expediters would be assigned territories, and busy main lines would require multiple expediters to be on duty simultaneously in the same territory. Multiple meaning probably two. UP showed a 7-minute video, illustrating how conductors and expeditors would respond to a broken knuckle on a coal train in Nebraska. The expediter was able to make repairs 1 hour and 10 minutes faster than the conductor, largely because he didn't have to make the 45-minute round trip from the head end of the problem car. Ultimately, it would make sense to use both conductors and expediters in some territories, but the UP wouldn't be able to shift to ground-based conductors if the FRI implements the proposed two-person crew. Railroads hate that word, that phrase, two-person crew. No, we want a one-person crew. Norfolk Southern is also negotiating with labor unions about the use of ground-based conductors. The railroad aims to improve local service by having ground-based conductors arrive at a customer's facility to line switches and perform other tasks before the train arrives. Well, that's true, but they really try to get rid of all their online business, so not much to do. Union officials told the FRA that having two people in a locomotive cab improves safety. Duh.
I mean, yes, the other engineer could have is all the multiple monitors in front of him, so that's the way you can see. And there might be one that'll be actually showing the front of the train going down the tracks.
So there's a model railroad this guy built of the Chicago Tribune Freedom Center.
The one that they're going to put the casino on.
Yeah. Let's see. Honestly, this is an opinion column by a writer at the Sun-Times. Honestly, I do not like anything about Freedom Center, the Chicago Tribune's printing plant along the Chicago River. I do not like the vast expanse of blank brown brick walls, nor its little lines of arched windows. I don't even like its name, Freedom Center, dripping with sham patriotism that the Tribune's long ago editor and publisher, Colonel Robert McCormick, slathered over his particular brand of corn-fed xenophobia. But then, I am not Horace Newell. And the 26-year-old says, I wish it could be saved. So he built this pretty cool-looking model.
Yeah.
But it sounded like you were doing Dr. Seuss there. I do not like the vaulted windows. I do not like the sterile building. I do not like it at all.
So, yeah.
But I do like green eggs and ham.
I say, I don't even know where this thing is.
What?
Doesn't say. Doesn't say where the model is.
Oh, where the model is at.
Yeah, maybe it's in his basement. I don't know. So that's one model, and then another model was built at the John Barker Mansion in Michigan City. Haskell and Barker Company, later acquired by Pullman, built freight cars that crisscrossed the country, hauling grain, whiskey, mail, and countless other goods in the 19th and 20th century. It employed more than 3,500 workers on a 100-acre site where the Lighthouse Place Premium Outlets Mall stands today, employing an assembly line manufacturing process long before Henry Ford popularized it. So this guy built a really cool-looking model of this factory. And I got a picture of it here. It says it was built by Purdue Northwest students, and it's fabulous. And it is pretty neat. So if you ever make it out to Michigan City, you can check out this model. And actually, I've been to the Barker Mansion. It's pretty cool. So one more thing. Oh yeah, here's a good one. A train from Los Angeles pulled into Cleveland with some $355,000 worth of items missing, according to a federal lawsuit. A Hong Kong company, Orient Overseas Container Line, filed the lawsuit last month in federal court in Cleveland, saying the merchandise was pilfered from a Burlington Northern Santa Fe Railway train somewhere in California. Gee, can you guess where that somewhere is?
Same place where the goats are.
Okay, I guess that's it from me for now. But I'm free to make snide comments throughout the program.
No,
Oh, of course.
Of course, not you.
Okay, got a half a dozen items here. WebTech and Oregon and Oak Ridge National Labs announced a partnership to develop technology designed to burn hydrogen in locomotives. The partnership involves the installation of WebTech's single-cylinder dual-fuel locomotive engine at the National Transportation Research Center. The Department of Energy Office of Science, user-friendly, located at Oak Ridge National Lab. The move is one of several approaches WebTech is taking to develop hydrogen technology for zero-emission locomotives. One approach involves using fuel cells as an alternative power source for locomotives, while a parallel approach involves enhancing WebTech's existing internal combustion locomotive engines to burn hydrogen. So they discovered that, gee, the spacecrafts run fine on fuel cells all the way out past Pluto. Maybe it might run a locomotive.
Past Pluto?
Well, I know the Voyager 1. The one that they now claim has been hijacked by aliens anyway. You didn't see that? Oh, yeah.
Sorry,
They're getting strange radio signals from it. Okay?
Oh, are they?
Yeah. And they don't know why, because they shut half the systems down on it to conserve power. So,
Don't kill me! Don't kill me!
here's one. This one's known as naming rights. The Regional Transportation District of Denver is searching for a new corporate partner interested in naming rights for the A-Line. That's their main streetcar line. It says University of Colorado's corporate sponsorship and associated naming rights expires in May after 6 years. And the agency is accepting proposals for a new partnership and A-Line naming rights through November, starting in November. Corporate partnerships enable business to align their brands with the growing Denver metro area marketplace, reach consumer ridership, RTD officials said. The partnerships materialize in many ways, including signage, stations, vehicles, recorded announcements, digital properties, and marketing. In the case of the A-Line, the service is well known to customers and travelers worldwide, with high visibility and excellent service record. I read this, and first thing I thought, the CTA gets a hold of this. I could see it now. You know, you're not riding the brown line, you're riding Kentucky Fried Chicken line.
They're doing that in, Senta's doing that in Philly.
Yeah.
So the whole company could sponsor the A-Line.
Yeah.
Could be the A-hole.
And of course
We were all thinking it.
Yep. And I got another bridge story. BNSF wants to build a new bridge and remove the old one. No surprise there. While the Friends are not opposed to building a new bridge, but are adamant about not wanting the old bridge torn down. Due to the best efforts of friends, they have not been successful in ensuring the bridge's future. KFYR-TV reported last week that the bridge will likely be removed. The news station cited the Coast Guard's final environmental impact statement, giving the green light to BNSF to tear down the bridge. The railroad bridge is more than one way to transport commodities for the state of North Dakota. It's a muse for several artists and photographers, and many look at it as an iconic structure. The news station also reported that Mark Zimmerman, president of Friends of the Rail Bridge, said, "Now Bismarck celebrates its 150th birthday, and we are in jeopardy of losing an iconic image of our city." The Friends group is holding out hope that EIS will be challenged and a way will be found to preserve the bridge.
How much is steel a ton?
I don't know. China's not buying, so don't know. South Shore, planning to move from the east side of the airport to the west side of the airport. Now, this is an old story, but again, they've come up with another new plan that's going to drop a $6 million engineering contract to find out how they're going to connect to the west side of the airport instead of going to the east side airport and cut about 10 minutes off of travel time. Now, years ago, they had that plan, and all the NIMBYs went crazy and stopped it because they were going to cut directly into the airport. So I'm not seeing how this is going to help, but they're trying again.
Well, 10 minutes, $10 million.
Yeah.
What does that come out to mathematically?
Well,
$1 million a minute?
Well, how much did that Belmont flyover cost to save a whole whopping 6 seconds? All right, here's one. The France, is now banning all flights under 250, under 2 hours. So if you have a route airline between two cities, like a commuter line or something, and it's served by the French railways, no longer can take it. So private and public airlines that have less than a 2-hour travel time, starting January 1st, will be banned. You have to take the train. They're putting everybody on the train. Kind of an interesting
makes
move.
sense.
Yeah, short haul, yeah. And here's one that Brian might be interested in. In Britain, virtual reality headsets teach children about railway safety. Virtual reality is now being used by Network Rail to teach school children about the dangers of trespassing on railways. The goal is to drive down the number of railway trespass incidents in the Northwest by combining sport and railway safety sessions using high-tech headgear. Since November 2021, there have been 2,100 trespass incidents across the route. Between March 2021 and March 2022, there was 19,408 trespass incidents on British rail network. The students are shown 2 different scenarios through the headsets leading up to the dangerous outcome. This includes being in the train cab with the driver as they approach a trespasser on the track, and then from the perspective of a group of teenagers, leading one of them up to touching the electrified steel rails on the ground.
I'll break the numbers out later.
Is that live or is it Memorex? I don't know.
Well, no, it's a good idea. If it,
Yes, it is.
yeah,
I mean, there's actually,
should be part of driver's ed. You know, here's the thing: don't drive around the gates.
well,
Don't
They-
stop on the track and admire the light coming at you.
there is a safety song on the internet. Australia. It was, came about, and it was called "Dumb Ways to Die," and it's already had over 1 billion hits. Now this has been going for several years.
So how many people are duplicating the dumb ways to die? Try this.
It really it's quite neat. I actually was able to get it on my laptop, so and we put it up on the screen.
Well, I have to find it and post it on our Facebook
I
page.
used it for the Boy Scouts
Yeah.
down there, and Kevin just shook his head. He says, "Where did you find that?"
Introduce our guest.
Oh yeah, which one?
The one that came in late.
Well,
Probably
Introduce
stuck in
yourself.
the same traffic jam I was.
Well, my name is John Picciotto, and I've been here before, but not in a while. Play trains with several of the guys here, including Real Trains with Brian. Run excursions years and years ago and been in most facets of the business and the hobby.
Yeah. You got a nice little shop that you're...
We will be moving, and I think, fingers crossed, I have a much nicer location right around the corner. I'll know within the next week. And it'll be a lot easier to get to. Get off the expressway and make a right-hand turn, and you're there.
Well, that sounds good.
That sounds very easy.
First thing we're going to do, build a layout in the store so people can play trains.
What scale?
HO scale. There's no place on the north-south side for these people to shop, or really there's no clubs. The closest club is Griffith, Indiana, and that's 17 miles away. At that point, you could go to Oak Park or you could go to Elmhurst. Elmhurst is about 25 miles from my store, and there's a lot of modelers on the south side. The next nearest one for everybody is either Oak Park or Will County. There is no place to shop on the south side, except for my store, that is. And
Zentech.
oh, no, he's 18th and Damon. I'm 123rd and Cicero.
You are?
I'm down in Alsip.
Okay.
So,
You're nearby me.
where are you?
Morgan Park. 115th and Longwood.
Okay, yeah. Right down the street, really.
Yeah.
Come by, bring money.
Get a free cup of coffee.
Oh, really?
And on Saturdays, I bring in donuts.
Oh, wow.
But, yeah, years ago I decided that I've been in the business on and off for 30 years now. And I was broke, I was out of work, it was in the middle of COVID, so what better time to start a business, right?
Nice time.
And I came across a gentleman who was getting out of the business, and I bought the remains of his business, and we've built on it for the last year, and now it's time to step up a little bit. So, I might even write a book, How Not to Start a Business with No Money.
That's a good trick.
Hey, Brian. Yeah, we can step in with summer discontent. This is Amtrak news
Yay!
from the Cincinnati Railroad Club. Now, Mike Weber, artist friend, he's passionate about Amtrak and what they're not doing.
Which is a lot.
Yes, like everybody that's been in charge of Amtrak has been airline people. So why does Congress keep putting airline people in there? Wouldn't railroader make more sense?
Probably because they couldn't find any railroaders to put in there. I mean, look at the major freight lines. They don't have anybody running the show that knows anything about railroading.
Well,
look at that plan he's got for the conductor.
Yeah, the expediters, right.
Yeah.
They're not conductors, they're expediters.
Expediters.
Well, Amtrak's going to latch on that right away, too.
Amtrak is considered... Okay. Let's go Amtrak news.
Dun, dun, dun.
All the news that is the news. Yes, Amtrak, we use tour trains. Flying got expensive. I'd rather not get on a trucker's road anymore. But Amtrak panicked in the spring of 2020 and let lots of valuable people go, even though it is fairly certain the process was coming to keep people working. So as of today, they are 4,000 people short. Now this is from September. Explaining the short trains, random cancellation notices. Only time will fix this. Our Cardinal is sold out on many days, So I think ahead of planning to travel by rail. Future, multiple Chicago area agencies have applied for mega grants to improve and expand the Chicago area infrastructure. If granted by U.S. DOT, multiple projects will begin. We got the mail platforms, 1,800 feet at Union Station to become passenger platforms. They are already high level. Concourse expanded and fewer where do I go moments. A new ramp up to the St. Charles Airline will avoid the backing up moves to Union Station. Michigan trains may use South Shore to Michigan City. St. Louis trains will use the Rock route to Joliet. Some commuter trains to move to LaSalle. Probably through trains O'Hare Airport to Illinois Central tracks running to Kankakee. Nagging problems with the new Siemens Midwest cars seem to be getting worked out. Doors and food trays. The sooner these cars get into use, sooner Amtrak could wasting superliners on the Carbondale line. Just a thought. Amtrak really wants Chicago to Indy service. Indiana shows little interest. For now, trains to Cincinnati. The ideal route has always been IC Chicago to Kankakee, New York Central to Lafayette and Indy, and the Greenberg line to Cincinnati. Yes, it is true the NYC ran test trains of RDC cars on this route about 1952 in 3 hours and 44 minutes. Really? Virginia has added trains to Roanoke and Norfolk. The Ethan Allen has been extended to Burlington. Will the Ohio legislature show some progressive movement towards a 3C and D service? It's now or never for sure. Amtrak is advertising for a team/firm to design and produce new long-distance cars. Have any ideas? I do. No rattling walls between bedrooms. A kitchen that can heat good prepackaged meals quickly. Seats that line up with the windows. More crew dorm sleepers with baggage in half the car. Bicycle racks. Some revenue rooms also. New River trains are operating this fall. They have operated and actually did do a nice trip there to Hinton. Now, part 2. These are the good ones. Somewhere in this space I will find a few positive things to say about passenger rail. But first, the biggest fiasco, this was in October, the biggest fiasco yet occurred this month when Amtrak 351 had mechanical issues early in its run. Bad ones. The effort was made to connect with another train, Amtrak, and limp into Chicago together. That took over 2 hours. As the day wore on, the train was about 12 hours delayed near the Indiana line. No heat, no lights, no functioning toilets. Oh, the crew dog law. Passengers took matters into their own hands and got off the train. Crossing live tracks to get to the highway, cabs, Uber, and Lyft were called. Obviously, Amtrak had no contingency plan for this type of delay. Thankfully, no train was hurtling along on the other active track. Passengers, of course, were able to record the entire thing on their phones. And it is being widely shared. Will it make it to the Amtrak Board of Directors? This, plus the poor decision to lay off so many at the beginning of COVID, should be enough to get some people into the unemployment category. They say there is no such thing as bad publicity. I think this disproves that theory, and let the heads roll. Amtrak is still not feeding coach passengers in the dining car. The food car is a cut above what you'd expect in jail. Siemens has started on car shells of at least 83 new train sets, expect more. Some will be unique and able to run electric or hybrid diesel. This will eliminate engine changes in Washington for some services. Trains as varied as the Pennsylvania, Palmetto, Tidewater services will all save time. The new cars will also run in the Empire Builder trains and, of course, to New England. Would you like to dream of what a new long-distance car could be? Me too. Somebody is going to get paid to do just that, as Amtrak is seeking a forum to plan, design, and build a new fleet of long-distance services. About a year from now, you should be able to ride in the new Siemens cars. 2027 for long distance, with luck. No vendor has been selected yet. Ohio. Will Ohio apply for infrastructure money for state routes? We certainly hope that this is the case. Expect a coordinated push after the elections. Even Texas has applied for grants for any routes. Will Ohio finally get on board? As you can see, guess where he lives. And that's your Amtrak news for the month. Okay, we got steam news. One that did come in interesting was with the Kentucky Steam Heritage Corporation. Recently announced that they have executed an agreement to purchase a full set of boiler tubes and flues from the Hoosier Valley Railroad Museum in North Judson, Indiana. Collaboration will help the restoration of a 75-year-old steam locomotive, the Chesapeake and Ohio 2716, thanks to funds provided by the John H. Emery Rail Heritage Trust. The tubes and flues, which were an essential component in a steam locomotive boiler, were targeted to be purchased by the Kentucky Steam in the spring of 2020. Inflated prices and overall global supply chain issues by the COVID-19 pandemic halted progress acquiring new boiler tubes and put the purchase on hold. During that time, Chris Campbell, president of Kentucky Steam, talked with Todd Flagg, Hoosier Valley president, and it was apparent that Flanagan was considering parting with the parts that were originally purchased by the museum for the potential restoration of their C&O locomotive, Kanawha Type 2789, the last Kanawha built. The Hoosier Valley Museum was founded in 1988 when rail enthusiasts banded together to help move the C&O, considered a candidate for mechanical restoration. But that notion has since been shelved as the museum concentrates on operations and other equipment relevant to the north central Indiana region. And the tubes and flues were purchased and stored when the museum was intended to eventually use them in the rebuild. HVRM currently operates both steam and diesel excursions on a stretch of former Erie Railroad track and has a museum and shop in North Judson. Mr. Jim Fretterchero, advisor committee member of the Emory Trust, said the purchase is a win-win for the two organizations. The trust is delighted that the Kentucky Steam and HVRM have made arrangements to use the tubes and flues. This represents a great cost savings and use of monies that the trust had granted. Kentucky Steam announced a similar collaboration earlier this year when they stopped locomotive air compressors with the Pueblos Railway Museum in Pueblo, Colorado. This swap allowed already rebuilt appliances from Pueblo's group's Santa Fe locomotive 2912 to be interchanged with Kentucky Steam's air pumps, which are in need of a full rebuild. Emory's trust monies help facilitate both transactions, which are key resources and time savers for the 284-2716. So for more information, go to kentuckysteam.org. One of the latest steam rebuild shops now is the one in Silva, the old diesel shops, and
Mr. Sandberg.
yes, Mr. Sandberg, of all people, is in charge of it, and they're rebuilding the Chinese Santa Fe's. They're also going to rebuild the 3985 and finally get the 4014s tender to oil.
You know, I find it amusing that Union Pacific has often said UP locomotives only run on our railroad.
Yep.
And 3985 is going to be rebuilt at Silvis, which is Iowa Interstate, former Rock Island. And rumor has had it for years that Union Pacific has an option to buy the Iowa Interstate. So, will we see 3985 running on new UP rails eventually?
Don't know.
Interesting.
That is interesting, though.
What do you think of that 2716 locomotive?
2716?
Mm-hmm.
I've actually seen it run.
It ran back in
Twice.
the 80s?
Yeah. Southern.
That's right.
Southern Railway ran it. And then 765 Group got it running.
In the 90s.
Yeah.
They used that for a couple of years once 765 went down.
Yeah. In short line news, or it could be big, long line move. The city of Cincinnati, which owns the Cincinnati Southern Railway, which is operated by the New Orleans, Texas and Pacific Company, as the engines of Southern were extra lettered, Norfolk Southern's going to acquire the Cincinnati Southern. They announced plans to acquire nearly all assets. Now you're talking about this. There's a lot of trackage here that Cincinnati owned when I got into it, and it does touch Louisiana.
Really?
Yes. Yeah, they make that sharp right turn there at Chattanooga. But, the Class 1 signed the purchase agreement, 337-mile railroad that operates between Cincinnati and Chattanooga. The city of Cincinnati currently owns it, which is operated by the New Orleans, Texas Pacific Railroad, and then as subsidiary actually from Southern, under a lease agreement that expires in 2026. Agreement calls for ownership of about 9,500 acres under infrastructure maintained and operated by NS. Further, it ensures that the Class 1 will own the line in perpetuity while eliminating uncertain around future lease costs. Yeah, you know, leasing out their conductors and stuff.
Expediters.
NS officials said in a press release, the line is one of the highest density segments of the NS system. As many as 30 trains a day travel on the route. The Cincinnati Southern is a critical artery linking the Midwest and Southeast, plays important roles in all our powerful network that serves more than half the population. NS President and CEO Alan Shaw. Acquisition is expected to close in the first half of 2024. At that time, Cincinnati will receive cash consideration of $1.62 billion. So somebody on NS must have won that Powerball. Got that $1 billion, yeah. Through internal and external sources, the city plans to use proceeds to form an infrastructure fund. Closing is the subject is approved by Cincinnati voters and the Surface Transportation Board.
Do you have anything on Norfolk Southern's new president?
Nope. Omnitrax going to acquire Colorado Short Lane.
Which one?
The Rio Grande, St. Louis, San Luis,
Oh,
and Rio Grande, between Antonito. And they do have 3-rail track. So if you want to see true Lionel track. But yeah, and San Luis was noted for having a home-built locomotive, and it still operates. International Harvester engine.
Really?
Yes.
that's right. That's right. They had those boxy things with the little thing at the top, and
yeah. It looked like a tank. The way the top was, it was a little turret up there. I saw it when I was down in when I went to San Luis Valley, when I was visiting some friends down there.
So if they got real 3-rail track,
Yep.
how big a battery do I have to put in the bottom of the locomotive to get the horn to sound?
We're working on that.
they strap a cow to the front.
Buy a bigger
Taser 'em,
transformer.
and he goes, mmm.
Metro unveils manufactured heritage locomotive. The first of 15 remanufactured locomotives delivered under a $70.9 million contract with Progressive Rail. Remanufactured SD70 Max. And it is RTA's heritage locomotive. Is what it looks like.
Yeah, the old color scheme.
Yeah.
Yeah, the pukey paint scheme.
Well, that's different.
Virtual Rail fan caught those things in transit coming up from Atlanta under various cameras.
Yeah, they got. They were all going to be AC traction, and they're trying to figure out which route to run them on.
No, the first ones are slated for Rock Island.
Okay, yeah, well, that track can hold the.
Yeah, that's why they
6
rebuilt the bridge at Grayland.
Yes. Yeah, have them go through. And then, but Metro decided, well, with the ones that they're going to retire, they got to pick out 6 best bodies, so this way they can convert them to battery power. Get the Energizer Bunny out of there now.
Get them D-cells.
Yeah.
Gift not included.
And rendering of the
Are you
potential
okay
new...
over there?
And they're going to be... New paint scheme is going to emphasize the use of green technology.
That makes sense. They made them green, of course.
Yep.
When
that?
I was working in management over there at the beautiful Porcelain Palace, I recommended that they take the F-40Cs and convert them to alternate fuel like corn fuel and stuff and paint them green. And they laughed. They said, go back and qualify engineers. Get out of here.
And then Progressive is going to provide BNSF with zero exhaust emissions to operate in Southern California. Basically, Joule battery-powered locomotives. That's what they're going to be. Yeah. Pass it around. Yeah.
Now, when Chicago was contemplating electrifying all the railroads in the city, they were going to stop at the city limits and switch over to steam locomotives. So they would have had interchange points at the end of every...
Yep.
So it sounds like the same thing's going to happen with California.
And that was 1915 they came out with that
Yeah,
plan.
right.
And this is for Ron Smallman. A few months ago, we talked about the pop-up metros that were being built in England and they're selling here. The guy from that owns Iowa Interstate.
Oh. Yeah, I can see his face. I can't think of his name.
Anyway, he's in with the project with the people in England. What it is, they're rebuilding subway cars that they're retiring in England and be battery powered. They said with the power package they got, they can run for an hour and then, plug it in like a Tesla.
For 15 hours to charge.
Yeah. Anyway.
That makes no sense.
Now, what it is where they set up their demonstration.
Oh, yeah. This ought to be good.
They had to relay some rail. Well, they had to lay rail because where they did it was in a yard off a branch of the East Broad Top. So, yes, we got 3 rails running on the East Broad Top now. They went and relayed the standard gauge track because that's where the new trolley museum is. And Rain Hill. And they're using the track there, and they redid a lot of the tracks so they can show they can get up to 40 miles an hour. Maybe they'll be able to get the electroliner going that fast again.
In Brazil, they have a streetcar line that runs on batteries, but when it pulls into a station, the station's got electrified overhead. They raise the pantograph at, and while it's sitting at the station, it's recharging the batteries. Yeah.
Well, anyway.
That'd be a better way to go. Have a third rail occasionally with some kid laying next to it electrified, and you're all set.
Yeah. Well, Pennsylvania is going to have probably the first use of it. They were sitting there looking at it and decided that the package that for $16 million instead of paying $380 million, and they'll get the same amount of usage out of the cars. So I said, let's give it a shot. And Semp is pissed. But, okay, that's it for me.
Tim?
All right.
Put him on the spot. Let's see now. Okay.
Aren't you glad you came?
Yeah, I'm glad I got asked. Thanks, Brian.
You're welcome.
See, I don't have anything prepared for tonight. I should have had something prepared.
Your dog ate the homework, right?
Can't use that excuse anymore. I'm not in school.
Oh, he gave it to the UP.
So, I guess I could talk about myself a little bit more.
Yeah.
Okay. So, I guess I will start off with this. I've been interested in trains since I was a wee young little boy. So, year old, I got my first train set, and ever since then, it's gone out of control. To the point where I have too many trains and don't know what to do with myself.
Well, it hasn't gone totally out of control because you never went to work for a railroad.
Trying to, but yeah, I think I want to stay away from that.
Yeah.
Smart move.
But, so anyway, I work at a local hobby shop here in the area. So yeah.
You can say the name.
Yeah.
We don't have to worry about getting sued.
So yeah, I work over at Chicago Hobby, over in the Norwood Park area of Chicago.
On Northwest Highway.
Northwest Highway.
Yep. So yeah, and my free time during the summer, I'm a volunteer out at the Illinois Railway Museum.
What department?
Steam department, the good department. I gotta boil some water every now and then, you know? It's fun.
How else are you going to make your tea?
Exactly. So during the winter, I participate with a couple local train clubs that I'm a part of. One's an O-Gauge club. One is an American Flyer S-Gauge club. So collect both Lionel and American Flyer stuff. That's pretty much it. I'll be more prepared next time. Hopefully.
Do you think we're really prepared?
I don't know. You all seem to be prepared.
Well, I printed my stuff off like 15 minutes before I left the house. I got to do something.
So
Who's going to be talking about the new Lionel stuff now?
I guess that'll be me.
Yep. Yep, one of Kevin's things was always informing us what was coming out from Menards.
I'll leave that up to Brian over there. He can talk about the Menard stuff.
I'll tell you something. We're on the south side, and it's the home of the Rock Island. And recently, looking through the Menards catalog, they have a nice little HO restaurant that's based on a Rock Island TA locomotive.
Mm-hmm.
I have to get one for the store. I don't care if it's from my competition.
That's okay.
That is a nice looking model.
Yeah, it's cute.
And
Put a little water in it and it
The
steams.
humidifier, yeah.
Well, I'm getting the new flying saucer one.
Oh, yeah.
Taking the Jeep.
We went to the Menards down the street. My nephew's like, that looks like fun. I said, okay, first we're buying the TA.
Yep.
Hey, Brian, did you ever get that bridge? How does it work? Get it restored? Does it work?
Is it the one from Brooklyn?
Yep.
Yeah, this is a handcrafted one made in the 30s
Really?
of the Hellgate Bridge,
Really?
Wow.
and it's double track. The track was hand laid.
Well, that's all they had in the 30s.
No, I mean it's actually 10-play track.
Really?
And when they cut out the thing, that's what I said. This was made by a cottage industry,
Okay.
and it hooked up. And yes, you got signal lights for each track.
Cool.
Photos?
No, I was going to bring the bridge in.
Ah, okay. Next time.
Yeah. It's in Larry's garage. We were working on it.
Okay.
I gotta kind of get it out of there. Well, see, Blanche didn't know I had it.
Oh.
And she figured out from conversation got something.
Yeah, you should be sitting over here under the ornament of Damocles.
Boy, you are a sneaky devil until you get caught.
Was the phrase "What did you buy now" used?
Oh, that's anytime
Anytime he leaves the house.
that's basically it.
She doesn't know about that Amtrak engine, right?
The one that followed
No,
you
she
home?
knows.
Oh, she knows about that one? Okay.
She knows I owe like $190 yet.
Okay.
But it
Yes.
followed me home. I gotta keep it.
Well,
It just needed a place to be put.
I have to remind my wife what a lucky woman she is that I don't do model railroading.
well
She's very
you should see
lucky.
the look on her face when I walked in with the Godzilla model. Got to put that together. Get that all set for next year. No, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to make decorations for one of the modules, and it'll be for them filming a movie.
Okay.
With a
Godzilla.
railroad car in his mouth, right?
Yeah. Well, then you buy the model, you got the car, you can
Oh, yeah.
goes in there. Yeah. Looks like it's about Z gauge.
Godzilla prefers sushi.
No, I was sitting there looking at it going, wow, wait, he's using it to clean his teeth in between there. That's why they got the metal parts. Got it out.
And the UP Expediter was right there trying to put a new coupler on it.
Oh,
Lord have
Wait a minute, I got to go back to the truck and get an air hose. I'll be back in an hour.
that whole thing is
I'll fill you in.
unbelievable.
Oh, I've heard.
it's one of those, strange but true.
Hey, John, want to say any last things?
Me?
Yeah, you.
Oh, Merry Christmas.
Want to tell everybody where your shop is?
Currently, 123rd and Cicero. It's 12314 South Cicero Avenue in the lovely town of Alsip, Illinois. In other words, I'm 12 miles from the Indiana border. You can't see it, but you can smell it.
Well, air quality's improved since they shut down the Clark refinery.
Yes.
And the trash to power thing in Robbins.
Yes.
I don't think they're using that anymore.
No, it's now, I think, a transfer station.
Okay.
The trucks go in, get put on the bigger trucks, and they send it somewhere else.
Somebody else's problem now.
Well, there's a lot of empty coal mines in southern Illinois they can fill. Um,
They're called subways. Anyway.
I remember a story from 30, 40 years ago about a train in southern Illinois going along, and all of a sudden they went into emergency and the whole train started to move backwards. Apparently they had cracked open a coal seam, a coal mine, long abandoned, that nobody knew about, and, well, it was big enough to put several cars into, because it broke open and it went down into the hole.
That's one way to fill it. Just put some dirt over it. Don't worry about it. Put the rail back. Don't worry.
And the Expediter is still looking for him.
I found that air hose.
Now, where's
Oh, that's
going
gonna be a joke forever here.
Oh, yeah.
I just could picture that, you know?
Yeah.
Guy drives up, where's the train?
About 30
I
feet
came with
below
the air
you.
hose.
I can see it. It's the Sari. He's going to have the hat on. And instead of the badge saying conductor, it's going to be expediter.
Expediter. People who confuse them want them to deal with packages and stuff. Here, would you expedite this for me? No, I'm a railroad expediter.
We ain't going nowhere.
Hey, let's expeditiously wrap up this program.
Huh? Okay.
Who's the expediter?
Oh,
As our express comes into the terminal, we want to thank you for joining us on our journey through the wonderful world of trains. Chicago Junction is a production of the Windy City Hometown Entertainment Network and can be listened to on the web at www.windycityhometown.com, where you can listen to tonight's broadcast and all our past episodes if you're really, really bored. You can also sample some of the other fine programs that are being offered. Till next month, when we journey to Chicago Junction, this is your announcer, Brian Balloon, and the rest of the panel, wishing you a very Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, and Happy Rails to you.
You have been listening to Chicago Junction on the Windy City Hometown Entertainment Network from the John DeVita Broadcast Center on Monday, December 14th, the year 2022. Chicago Junction was directed by John DeVita, and our executive producer is Mr. John Shikanda. Until next time, ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of the entire staff of Windy City Hometown Entertainment, I wish each and every one of our listeners a very, very Merry Christmas, a very Happy New Year, and to our pal, who today is the first time that he has missed, Kevin Barry. Kevin, may your soul rest in peace, and God bless you, and thank you for the many years that you have offered your thoughts and everything here on Chicago Junction. God bless you, pal, and may you rest in peace.